Part 7. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 61. Chapter 61 Vitality Qigong Technique. It doesn't take much effort to feel it, but since you can't see the exact place below with your eyes, you can only rely on the feeling on your feet, which is very laborious. By the time Xianxia fell to the bottom, it was already an hour later. It took an hour to come down, and even more time to climb up. Obviously, she had miscalculated the time before, and a whole morning passed by going up and down. When she climbed up, panting and wet, she saw the corners of her master's robe fluttering in the wind. "Master!" She climbed up and collapsed on her back and shouted. This is a good method, it can enhance your body's physical fitness as soon as possible. Although the master of Thousand Poison Peak felt sorry for her, he was more proud and gratified that the little girl could come up with such a way to exercise her physical strength, which was much better than those boys. After all, not many people can endure such hardship. Only those warriors who practice vitality will be forced to endure such hardship. "I'm so tired," Xianxia said from the bottom of her heart. She felt that her arms and legs were shaking. In comparison, in terms of cultivation, warriors work much harder than their monks. Here the master of Thousand Poison Peak handed her a book of exercises. Xianxia immediately got up regardless of her physical fatigue. She took the exercise and saw 3 words written on it: 9 transformations of true Yuanju. At first glance, she knew it was a technique for cultivating vitality. She didn't expect the master to find it for her so quickly. "Master, what level of vitality technique is this?" Xianxia asked happily. "I don't know," Qiandu Peak Master said. This is what he got from his senior brother, and it is also the best method he can think of to cultivate vitality. After all, they are all monks, and they value the cultivation of spiritual power more. "Don't know," Xianxia looked at her master in surprise. "This is 20 years ago, when master went to practice with your uncle got it by chance. Because it was a vitality cultivation method, he couldn't use it, and his disciples couldn't use it, so they kept it. Now if you want to cultivate vitality, master is here for you. 2 ordinary vitality cultivation techniques are not good for you. Although we don't know its level, we can feel its power." The corner of Xianxia's mouth twitched. Master went to his uncle to take advantage of her, and he didn't know what price he had to pay. She knew that when her uncle heard that she had obtained the founder's spear and spear skills, he gave the skills to her master without saying anything. At that time, the founding master used a long caltrop spear to defeat invincible opponents in the world, and he was called the strongest man in the mainland at that time. Now someone has finally been recognized by Changling's spear again. Although it is a girl, it also means that Xuanhuan sect will become stronger again. Therefore, no matter whose disciple Xianxia is, it is the honor of Xuanhuan sect. Thinking about the master's words, Xianxia let go of her spiritual consciousness and sensed it. Sure enough, a powerful force with a look of disdain came out of the technique. It gave her the feeling of sweeping through thousands of troops and looking down upon the world. "Thank you, Master," Xianxia said happily. This technique was very suitable for her. The Master of Thousand Poison Peak smiled. "The technique is a good technique, but you can't practice it now." Xianxia nodded. "Disciple understands that I will wait until my physical strength reaches a suitable level before practicing the 9 transformations true essence art. Some things cannot be rushed, and she has enough patience and perseverance." The Master of Thousand Poison Peak nodded. Although his young apprentice is young, he has great ideas. He can control his desires and emotions very well and knows when to do what. "Your master will take you out tomorrow, don't forget it," the master of Qiandu Peak reminded her, and went back to his room without disturbing her. The little apprentice works so hard, he, as a master, must not slack off. "Yesterday, A conversation with his young apprentice gave him confidence after having been unable to find breakthrough opportunities for many years. In fact, his cultivation reached the peak of the zone level a few years ago. As long as he breaks through to the zone level, he can leave here to visit higher continents. This is also the reason why the apprentice nephews are in awe of him. He has already reached the peak level of the 9th level of Yun zone. It's just that Xuanhuan sect has not spread the word to the outside world, and that sect does not have some trump cards yet. The people of Xuanhuan sect mainly focus on alchemy, and their cultivation level is weaker than that of other sections. Among his senior brothers, he is the only one whose cultivation level has reached the peak of the 9th level, which is the same level as his master. Having just experienced such an intense training session, Yan Xianglou really needed to rest and regain her strength. Holding the 9 revolutions true essence art, he lay on the ground for a while, then got up, returned to the room, and lay down on the bed. It's really hard to exercise physical strength. However, looking at the 9 revolutions true essence art in her hand, she suddenly felt that all the hard work was worth it. After resting for a while, she got up and continued to refine elixirs while absorbing spiritual energy to cultivate her spiritual power without delay. She walked out of the room in the afternoon, cooked the meal first, put it in the pot to warm, then looked at the cliff, and went down again. When she climbed back again, it was completely dark, and her whole body was soaked with sweat. She was still following. She was as embarrassed as she was in the morning, but with a happy smile on her face. It took a quarter of an hour less this time. After calming down, cleaning herself up, and eating the dinner she had prepared in advance, she returned to her room to continue refining elixirs and cultivating her spiritual power. She got up at dawn the next day. She had to go out with her master today, so she planned to exercise early and didn't want to delay her physical exercise for anything. By the time she crawled back, it was time for breakfast. She rested for a while and then went to make breakfast. After she made breakfast and had breakfast with her master, she saw Master Xianxia coming from the sky. She quickly saluted. Xianglou has met the master. Master Xianxia looked at her lovingly. I heard from your master that you got the Changling spear. Well, Xianglou has already started training her body strength and is preparing to cultivate her vitality, Yan Xianglou reported truthfully. Yeah, Master Xianxia didn't say much. This young disciple had different ideas from others, but he was definitely not a person who was too ambitious and ignorant of the world. She knew it well. Since she decided to practice spiritual energy and vitality at the same time, there must be some confidence. Follow Master to meet someone, Master Xianxia said directly after humming. Yes, after Yan Xianglou responded, she saw Master Xianxia raise his hand, and a ray of spiritual power enveloped her, and then she followed Master Xianxia and left in the air at an extremely fast speed. She looked at Master Xianxia next to her in shock. Is this the 9th level peak cultivation level? But she was much gentler than her master. The first time she was carried away by her master, Yuan Xianglou might never forget it in her life. The mountain peaks under her feet were passing by like lightning. The speed was so fast that she was dazzled, which once again deepened her desire for the strong. End of this chapter. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 62. Chapter 62. Going to meet someone. Within a quarter of an hour, they reached a peak in a mountain range that she could not estimate how far away. Hidden among the trees is a well-proportioned courtyard built against the mountain. Although it is far away in the mountains, it is scattered on the slopes of the mountain peaks, without losing any exquisiteness and beauty. It is definitely a quiet and elegant place, a good place to live away from the world. Master Xianxia took Yan Xianglou and landed directly in the highest courtyard in the courtyard, and the spiritual power that restrained her was also withdrawn. As soon as they landed, a strong and powerful voice came from inside the room, "Brother, long time no see." Following the sound, an old man with white hair and a white beard wearing a loose snow-white brocade robe walked out of the house. Judging from the fact that he is about the same age as Master Qianhe, but he calls Master Qianhe senior brother, he is the junior brother of Master Qianhe. Let's talk about how Xuanhuan sect only has one ancestor, Master Qianhe. It turns out that the other senior masters don't live in Xuanhuan sect. Before Master Qianhe could answer, the old man saw Xianluo beside him, his eyes flashed and he said with a smile, "Which grandnephew's disciple is such a pretty little girl?" Xiaoluo has met Master Chang'an. Master Qianhe said with a smile. Yu Xianluo immediately knelt down and kowtowed seriously. Yu Xianluo pays homage to Master Chang'an. "Girl, please get up." Master Chang'an raised his hand, and a soft spiritual power lifted Ruan Xianluo up. Yu Xianluo used her strength to stand up and stood respectfully next to Master Qianhe. She was neither humble nor arrogant, calm and composed. She did not see any uneasiness in the master-level person. "This is mainly because I was born in the Guo family in my last life, and I am used to seeing high-level people. I am used to it and don't feel intimidated. Call me master." "Could it be that Xiaozi has accepted a disciple?" Master Chang'an looked at Yu Xianluo with a smile. After all, several of senior brother's apprentices have already practiced in seclusion and no longer accept disciples. Therefore, the only one who can call him a master is the apprentice of his senior brother, the master of Qiandu Peak. He could clearly see her cultivation level with just one glance. She was at the first level of spiritual level, but her cultivation level was not high. Could it be that she had a high talent for alchemy? After all, everyone knows that the master of Qiandu Peak is very picky about accepting disciples, and he has long promised to only accept one disciple in his life. Exactly, Yao Tu accepted a disciple when the sect recruited disciples this year. Master Qianhe nodded. Only then did Yan Xianluo remember the name of her master, Deng Chang's. It's just that Master Qiandu Peak's master's reputation is too great. People outside call him the Poison King, and few people mention his name. "Oh, which level of alchemist is Luo Yetu?" Master Chang'an asked curiously. Yan Xianluo said respectfully, "I just started refining the second-grade elixir." Master Chang'an was very surprised. His cultivation level was not high, but his talent for alchemy was average. What was so special about this child that caught the attention of Mr. Zi and made his senior brother bring him here? Master Qianhe said with a smile, "When Xiaoluo entered the sect, he was at the third level of the UN level. He only learned alchemy for 4 days. He had no one to guide him. He learned it by reading books. The first elixir was top grade, and the second one was perfect quality." Is what the senior brother said true? Master Chang'an was stunned, obviously not believing it. The sex assessment has only lasted 2 months, and this girl has gone from a junior alchemist to a second-grade alchemist. Has her cultivation reached the spiritual level? Although the alchemy level and cultivation level are not high, if these were all improved within 2 months, this talent would be too terrifying. And the day before yesterday, Xiaoluo also got the founding ancestor's weapon, the Changling spear, and his marksmanship Grandmaster Qianhe said with pride in his voice. Master Chang'an's eyes widened instantly. "Luo Yetu, take out the long caltrip spear and show it to Master." Although he knew that the founding master's long caltrip gun was on the 3rd floor of the weapons depot, he had never been to the 3rd floor and had never seen the real long caltrip gun. Yan Xianluo looked at Master Qianhe and saw him nodding. With a thought, a long caltrip spear appeared in her hand. Looking at the golden spear, Master Chang'an was very excited. "No wonder senior brother brought Luo Yetu here to me, it's just to show off." Yan Xianluo put away her long spear and stood aside calmly, showing no complacency or pride at all because of Master Chang'an's words. Besides, she didn't think Master Qianhe brought her here just to show off. Her reaction made Master Chang'an look in his eyes and nodded secretly. "This girl is indeed good." Master Qianhe laughed, "I don't mean that. I brought the girl here today to let her read the alchemy book. Decades ago, although his master passed on the position of sect leader to him, he did not feel dissatisfied with the alchemy book he passed on to his junior brother Xuanhuan. After all, his junior brother's alchemy talent was higher than his. But the master said that he can read the alchemy book 3 times, whether it is himself or his disciples and grandchildren. He has used these 3 opportunities twice. The first time he watched it by himself and only watched 1/3 of it. The second time he took his disciples to watch it and only watched 2/3 of it. The third time he watched it by himself. He never used the opportunity because he didn't have the right person and didn't want to waste his last chance. He just wants to know everything in the elixir book. Therefore, when I knew that Xianxia had an extraordinary memory, I decided to give her this opportunity. Although there are 3 opportunities, no matter who reads it, they must read it from the first page and read as much as they can. Otherwise, he and Yao Tu would have read all the alchemy books in 2 chances. Master Xuanhuan was not surprised, but he was very curious about Xianxia. Could it be that this girl's memory is better than her master's? However, no matter how good his memory is, it is useless even if he has a photographic memory. The further the book goes, the harder it becomes to read it. Even he did not read it until the end, because the alchemy recipe behind it has surpassed the level of this continent, and his mental power is not as strong as heaven. Can't even see in. This is also the reason why his master passed the alchemy book to him back then. He had stronger mental power than his senior brother, but he could only read 4/5 of it, and he had not read the last part for decades. This is the last chance, senior brother, are you sure you will give it to Luo Yetu? Master Xuanhuan felt that even if this girl had a photographic memory, with her cultivation level here, she might not have enough mental strength to support even 1/10 of it. Master Qin, he said with a smile, senior brother is already at this age and has a few more years to live. I don't want to waste this opportunity. This girl is so evil that even the alchemy furnace when we founded the sect recognized her as its master. What? Master Xuanhuan was really not calm this time. If he who praised Xianxia before just thought that she was talented and evil, getting the Changling spear could be said to be a chance, but getting the Dan furnace that founded the sect and recognized her as its master was not a matter of luck and chance. After all, the immortal, there were many alchemy masters in the Yun sect throughout the ages, but none of them had ever been recognized by the alchemy furnace. Does this girl have such a powerful talent in alchemy? He was stunned for a moment, and then made a gesture of invitation, senior brother, let's go in and drink tea. It takes time for Luo Yetu to read the alchemy book, right? End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 63. Chapter 63 Ancient Alchemy Books. Xianxia followed the 2 masters into the main room. After the 2 masters sat down, Master Xuanhuan pointed to the table beside him and said, Girl Luo, let's read the elixir book there. While speaking, an antique book fell on the table. After Xianxia saluted, she walked to the table and sat down. Master Xuanhuan said again, you must read it from the first page. There is no time limit, as long as you can read it, you can read it. Yes, Xianxia responded. The 2 masters drank tea and looked at her. Xianxia looked at the book calmly. There was indeed the word alchemy book written on the cover, and an ancient charm could be clearly heard. He reached out and turned to the first page, which turned out to be an ancient book on alchemy. A bright light flashed across her almond eyes, which was much more advanced than the alchemy technique in the alchemy recipe given to her by Master Qin. In an instant, I was addicted to it. Master Xuanhuan took a sip from the teacup and saw that the little girl was flipping through the pages very quickly, turning the page in just a few breaths. She raised her eyebrows. Even if she had a photographic memory, she wouldn't be able to forget it so quickly. Is she sure she saw it? But he couldn't read it or turn to the next page. He knew this very well. This ancient book had limitations. Only when you understood the previous ones could you read the later ones. Master Qianhe was actually shocked. He didn't expect that the little girl could read this restricted elixir book so quickly. The two of them looked at each other and saw disbelief in each other's eyes, but neither spoke, fearing to disturb Yan Xiangluo's reading of the alchemy book. Time passed little by little, and Master Chang'an, who thought she would soon be unable to bear it, became more and more surprised, because in the time it took for the incense stick to drop, she had already read half of the alchemy book. Only then did she realize that the first part of the elixir book was about alchemy, and the middle part was about elixir recipes. Although they were also elixir recipes from level 1 to level 9, they were still different from the elixir recipes in her book. Some prescriptions that are not common in mainland China. I don't know what the latter part is. At this time, the two masters were still in shock that this girl's mental power was so terrifying. Seeing this, Yan Xiangluo has already discovered the limitations of this alchemy book. Halfway through, he actually needs to use his mental power to remember the content of the alchemy book, and he has to understand it before he can turn to the next page. At this time, her speed also slowed down a bit, but it was only relative. In the eyes of the two masters, her speed was still very fast. Another incense burning time passed, and she read the remaining half, that is, she had read 3/4 of the alchemy book, which shocked the two of them. Seeing that although her speed was getting slower and slower, she still kept flipping through the alchemy book at the same speed. When she saw where Master Chang'an was looking, he saw that she had easily turned over. Master Chang'an excitedly crushed the teacup in his hand and quickly wrapped it with spiritual power without making any noise. Come, worry about affecting Yuan Xiangluo. He also wants to know the content behind the alchemy book. In this way, Yan Xiangluo spent a little more than half an hour reading the alchemy book. After reading the last page, she gently closed the alchemy book and respectfully returned it to Master Chang'an. It turns out that the second part of the alchemy book contains medical skills, including acupuncture. The acupuncture she knew was learned in her previous life. This was the first time she came into contact with acupuncture in this continent. The combination of the two gave her a higher level understanding of acupuncture. It can be said that reading the alchemy book on acupuncture was her biggest gain, and she benefited a lot. Master Chang'an did not accept the alchemy book. Since you can read the whole book, please pass this alchemy book to you. He had no disciples in his life, and he originally wanted to put this alchemy book on the 3rd floor of the Xuanhuan sect's Kung Fu Hall. Since this child can read the entire alchemy book, he is destined to pass it on to her. Yan Xiangluo shook his head. Thank you for your kindness, Master, but I don't need this elixir book anymore. The contents are all in my head. Yan Xiangluo pointed at her brain and said. You remember everything, Master Chang'an said in surprise. I remember everything, Yan Xiangluo nodded and admitted. Even Master Qianhe, who was mentally prepared, was shocked. He had also read the alchemy book. Trying to remember what he had read would consume a lot of mental energy. How could this girl remember everything so easily? Can you tell us what the second part of the book is about? Master Chang'an asked. The art of acupuncture. Yan Xiangluo didn't hide it either. Qianhe and Chang'an looked at each other. No wonder they couldn't see the content behind it. They didn't know acupuncture. It can be said that no one in Xuanhuan sect majored in medical skills. Master Qianhe was considered to be familiar with medical skills. He is the person who has studied it the most, but he has not practiced acupuncture either. Do you know acupuncture? Master Qianhe asked. He was sure that his disciples probably didn't know this. Yan Xiangluo nodded. I didn't have a master before, so I couldn't learn alchemy. I mainly focused on understanding herbs and learning medical skills. There is a map of acupuncture points on the body in Shiyulu, and there is a sentence in it that if silver acupuncture is used to mock Sebastian acupuncture points, it can be cured. There were many difficult and complicated diseases that could not be cured by elixirs, so I looked for some books on acupuncture. Although they were very superficial, I figured out my own acupuncture method by studying the medical skills in them. Both Qinhe and Xianxia were shocked. Xu Yulu and the others knew that although it was very precious, there was no acupuncture in it. What kind of evil child was this? She just mentioned a sentence in it and figured out a set of acupuncture by herself. Technique. Needless to say, this set of acupuncture techniques is also very powerful, otherwise she would not be able to read the last part of the alchemy book. Obviously she has understood all the acupuncture techniques in the last part of the alchemy book. Xianxia looked at the elixir book that could not be sent and sighed with emotion. Senior brother, Xuanhuan sect is about to produce a peerless genius. Master Qinhe also realized that Ruan Xiangluo was not a simple little genius. There was no shortage of talented disciples of alchemy in Xuanhuan sect, and there were them under every peak leader. However, an all-around genius like Ruan Xiangluo, the entire continent also had just this one. This also made him realize that if he wants her to grow up, he must protect her. Master Qinhe took Yan Xiangluo back to Xuanhuan sect, sent her back to Qiandu Peak, talked with Yao Tu for a while, and then left. After the master left, the master of Qiandu Peak called Yan Xiangluo and said to her, "Have you ever treated anyone with acupuncture?" "I have only healed one person. During the sex training, I met Jizhong, the regent of the Tianshan Empire. He helped me once. He was poisoned. I used acupuncture to suppress the poison," Yan Xiangluo said truthfully. The master of Thousand Poison Peak nodded. "Fortunately, at least it hasn't spread yet. Before the spiritual spring is opened, Xiao Luoer should practice at Qiandu Peak." The implication was that she would not be allowed to go down the mountain. End of this chapter. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 64. Chapter 64, Flying Mysterious Pattern. Master had already said that she would not be allowed to go down the mountain before, but today he actually asked her not to go down until the spiritual spring was opened. That would mean that she would stay on the mountain for nearly 3 years. She thought that Master had his own reasons for doing this. She nodded and agreed. That was good, she could practice with peace of mind. After all, she had too many things to learn. It took a whole morning to visit Master Cheng'an. Yuan Xiangluo took the time to refine the elixir. Deng Changs, the master of Qiandu Peak, saw the little girl practicing without any delay and sighed in his heart. He is such a hard-working person. He is the first young apprentice, very much like the founding master. Thinking that his little apprentice wanted to cultivate vitality, he had to prepare some things to assist her in her cultivation, so he left Thousand Poison Peak. Yan Xiangluo didn't even eat lunch. After finishing the daily alchemy quantity ordered for herself, she stretched out and came out of the room. Her stomach grumbled with hunger and she started cooking. As soon as he walked out of the room, he saw Baitang Yunyu standing tall and tall. When he saw her coming out, he smiled and saluted. "Yunyu has met Uncle Yu." Yan Xiangluo blinked and said, "Are you here to have a meal?" Baitang Yunyu was not embarrassed at all. "Yes, after I came back, I felt that nothing I ate tasted good, so I had no choice but to come here to satisfy my craving." With these words, he took out the various vegetables, spirit beasts, meat, seasonings, etc. he bought. "I don't know what Uncle Jun needs. I bought everything that Xianyun town has." Yan Xiangluo accepted the things politely. She would not be able to go down the mountain anymore, and it was really hard to buy food. This time, she had someone to help her. "Wait, I'm going to cook." He took the things Baitang Yunyu bought and went to the kitchen. Baitang Yunyu followed him nonchalantly. "What can I do to help my uncle?" "Are you going to have a vegetable washing party?" Yan Xiangluo asked. I should be able to. Bai Tang Yunyu is a high-ranking prince. He has never done these things since he was a child. When he came to Xianxia sect, he also went to the dining hall to eat. He didn't need to do anything by himself, but he thought, just wash the food shouldn't be difficult. When Yan Xiangluo saw that the vegetables he had washed were soft, as if they were cooked, she twitched the corner of her mouth and silently went over to wash the vegetables. Bai Tang Yunyu stood aside awkwardly, but he watched carefully how Yan Xiangluo washed the vegetables. This is not a difficult task. Once you learn it, you can do it. In the future, you can't just do nothing when you come to eat. What should I say? You should also call me uncle. Seeing that Ruan Xiangluo had cooked the food skillfully, he was very curious about her identity. If a well-off girl at home would never touch Yang Chun Shui, she would at most be able to make some exquisite snacks or something like that. It would be like Yan Xiangluo is so familiar with stir-frying and cooking. However, no matter how curious he was, Bai Tang Yunyu finally tasted the food he had been craving for a long time. He had been looking forward to this day ever since he ate the meat buns she gave him in Wanghai Forest. Although I could still maintain an elegant eating posture, I ended up feeling full. Yan Xiangluo made Xiaoshi tea. Bai Tang Yunyu was very talented in alchemy. He knew what kind of tea it was when he smelled it. He was a little embarrassed. Yan Xiangluo's big apricot eyes flashed suddenly. Now she had some doubts. Is Miao Nagano really a reborn son of luck? Didn't Bai Tang Yunyu also successfully break through to the king level after missing the opportunity? Hey, she suddenly remembered that when she participated in the sect examination, that is, on the day she received the jade pendant from Bai Tang Yunfan returned from the air. He should not have broken through to the king level at that time, so why did he can you fly in the air? Thinking of it, I asked, you have achieved the king level in this experience. What happened when you dropped the jade pendant and walked in the air? Bai Tang Yunyu explained, it takes too much time to go up and down the mountain, so I asked my father for some flying mysterious patterns. Flying Xuanhuan? Yan Xiangluo suddenly remembered the information about the flying mysterious pattern. There is another profession in this world that is the mysterious pattern master, which can carve mysterious patterns on any object. The flying mysterious patterns can allow people who have not broken through the king level to fly in the air, but it is different from the king level cultivation to fly in the air. Flying mysterious marks. The flying distance is different depending on the level of the mysterious marks master. Bai Tang Yunyu is a prince of a country, so there is no problem in asking for a few flying mysterious patterns from his father. No wonder Miao Nagano wanted Bai Tang Yunyu to be hated by the royal family. He was jealous that they had such strong backing. Uncle Jun, do you want it? I have a few more here. Bai Tang Yunyu took out a few flying mysterious patterns and handed them to Yu Xiangluo. Yan Xiangluo just took a look at what the flying mysterious pattern looked like, and was very curious about the Xian pattern master's profession. I have a white eagle, so I don't need the flying mysterious pattern. Bai Tang Yunyu smiled brightly, I forgot that Master Jun has a flying spirit beast. In my heart, I was envious that the master of Qiandu Peak was so kind to Yan Xiangluo. Even the prince of his country did not have a separate flying mount. But it's no longer needed now, he can fly in the air. By the way, Uncle Yu has obtained the founder's Changling spear, can you open my eyes for me? Bai Tang Yunyu asked expectantly. Of course, Yan Xiangluo thought, and the long diamond spear appeared in her hand. Bai Tang Yunyu wanted to reach out and take it to take a look, but the Changling spear made a buzzing sound of rejection. Bai Tang Yunyu quickly retracted his hand, I have overstepped the rules. The contracted spiritual weapon is not allowed to be used by anyone except the owner. People touch it. Only then did Yan Xiangluo realize that she liked the Changling spear even more. It was a weapon that was unique to her. Bai Tang Yunyu satiated his greed and didn't stay too long. After all, everyone's training time is precious, so he said goodbye and left, saying that he would go down the mountain to do shopping when he had time to have some food. Yan Xianglou didn't care. She had to cook and eat every day anyway. Bai Tangyunfen left Yan Xianglou and continued to make elixirs. This time she combined the alchemy methods she saw in the alchemy book, and the speed of alchemy was greatly improved. At this time in Xianyun town, Miao Nagano came to the private room of a restaurant with a Tianzi name. A slim woman wearing a snow-white dress and a white bamboo hat was sitting inside, drinking tea. "Why did you invite me here?" Miao Nagano sat down opposite the woman, looked at her and asked. "Make a deal with Mr. Miao." The woman put down the teacup, poured a cup of tea for Miao Nagano and put it in front of him. Miao Nagano looked at the teacup but did not drink it. "I don't think there is any deal that can be made with the girl." The woman didn't care about his caution and refusal, and said in a calm tone, "In matters of mutual benefit, master, you should listen to me before deciding whether to refuse. After all, what Master Miao wants is not so easy to get, and it just so happens that I am here." Miao Nagano's eyes flashed with a dark light. Who is this woman? Not only does she know him, but she also knows that she has what she wants, but he knows nothing about her. What deal does she want to make with herself? After resurrecting his life, he will not let himself fall into any passive situation, let alone leave any excuse to anyone. "I don't have anything I want," Miao Nagano tentatively refused. End of this chapter. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 65. Chapter 65. You Must Die. With a flick of the woman's fingers, a cold jade box appeared on the table. "Mr. Miao, take a look at the contents and decide whether to make a deal with me." Miao Nagano's eyes narrowed. The woman who put the things in the cold jade box really knew what she wanted. He was silent, struggling internally, and the woman did not rush him. She drank tea quietly and waited for him to make a decision. A quarter of an hour later, Miao Changai's palms were sweating, but he still couldn't resist the temptation. He reached out and opened the cold jade box, and saw a 9-turn fairy grass inside. It was his chance to win the Baitangyunyu. The result was unsuccessful. After killing the 3-tailed red fox, he found the fox cave, but it turned out that there was nothing inside. However, he was an alchemist and smelled the scent of the 9-turn fairy grass in the cave, so he knew that someone had climbed in first. He breathed a sigh of relief. He struggled to kill the 3-tailed red fox and ended up making wedding clothes for someone. He suspected that Baitangyunyu had taken away the 9-turn immortal spirit grass. However, after asking about it, he found out that their team did not have it at all. Go in that direction. Could it be that the woman in front of me got the 9-turn fairy grass? After all, this 9-turn fairy grass looks very fresh, as if it had just been picked. His current cultivation level is at the 6th level of the talent level, which has not yet reached the king level. However, he has stayed at this level for a year and a half, and this time he has improved by 1 level. He is only 14 years old, and the 7th level of spiritual level sounds quite high, but he knows that in order to gain favor from his family, he secretly used elixirs to improve his cultivation. If he doesn't find a way, it will take a lot of time to advance to each level in the future. Just take a long time. And talents will also be limited. He wants the 9-turn immortal spirit grass not to break through to the king level, but to improve the talent of his spiritual roots. As the name suggests, 9-turn immortal grass is a panacea for healing spiritual roots. As long as the spiritual roots are not completely dead, using 9-turn fairy grass to refine the elixir can bring the spiritual roots back to life. There is no big problem with his spiritual roots, but the use of pills to improve his cultivation has damaged the spiritual roots' talents, which means that his original talents have been reduced. However, with the 9-turn fairy spirit grass and the refined fairy pills, his spiritual roots will be repaired, and the talent of his spiritual roots can also be improved. This is also the main reason why he must win the opportunity of Baitangyunyu, but unfortunately he failed. However, when someone presented him with the 9-turn immortal spirit grass in front of him, he really couldn't refuse. Even if he knows that the other party's request is definitely not a good thing, it is not easy for him to fulfill, and it may cause him a lot of trouble. The 9-turn immortal grass is too important to him. There are not many 9-turn immortal grass in Wanghai Forest, only in Linghu Cave. If he rejects the one in front of him, he may never have a chance to see the 9-turn immortal spirit grass in his life. Tell me about your conditions. But first, I will not do anything that harms the interests of the section. Miao Nagano finally made a decision. But he also has a bottom line. The sect is the place where he depends for survival and his support. He cannot destroy his backstage and ladder to heaven. The woman seemed to know that he would compromise. Don't worry, my conditions have nothing to do with your section. I only want one person's life, or destroy her cultivation. Miao Qianzhai's eyes narrowed. He knew without asking that this person must be from their sect. Who? The fragrance falls. Miao Qianzhai was stunned. What kind of feud did this woman have with Yan Xiangluo? She actually wanted her life? She is the only direct disciple of the Master of Thousand Poison Peaks. Do you think I can kill her or destroy her? Miao Qianzhai understood in his heart. Yan Xiangluo was recognized as the owner of the alchemy furnace dug out by the founder of the sect, and yesterday she was recognized by the Changling spear left by the founder of the section. Whether it is the Master of Qiandu Peak or the sect, they will protect her. She is safe. He is a new disciple. If he has the ability to kill her, he doesn't want to live. Since I found you, it's naturally because you can do it. Don't worry, I won't implicate you. I will give you a mysterious pattern. You just need to find a chance to use the mysterious pattern on her. She won't have it at that time. Whatever happens to her after that is none of your business. Even if she doesn't die, I won't ask you for anything back, the woman said confidently. Miao Qianzhai's eyes dimmed. If this was the case, he really had nothing to lose. It was just a pity for Yan Xiangluo's stunning face. She was the most beautiful girl he had ever seen. Is there a time limit? Miao Nagano said. The woman knew that Miao Nagano needed to find opportunities, within a year. Miao Nagano nodded and said, okay, deal. The woman moved her hand and used her spiritual power to push the box in front of Miao Nagano, and then a white ruyi buckle fell on the box. There are mysterious patterns engraved on it. When the time comes, you just need to use your spiritual power to crush it, and then a power will appear. You use your spiritual power to send this power to her, and our deal will be completed. The woman. His tone was lighter than before. Miao Qianzhai didn't ask any more questions. Since this woman wanted to kill Xiangluo, this mysterious pattern must not be an ordinary mysterious pattern. It would not be a good thing to ask more. How will I tell you when the transaction is completed? Miao Nagano asked. You don't need to tell me. As long as you use it, I will know that the transaction is completed. Don't try to fool me. There is a special seal on the Xuanhuan. It can only be used on Yan Xiangluo. Otherwise, it will be used on people who use Xuanhuan. Whoever it is used on, I will know immediately. The woman was reminding Miao Nagano not to fool her. She knew very well whether the transaction was completed or not. Miao Qianzhai tightened his hands. This woman was too scary. Don't worry, I will definitely do what I promised. After saying that, I didn't drink tea, I put away the jade box and ruyi button and left. The woman looked at the closed door and raised the corners of her lips. Shen Xiangluo, I won't give you the chance to enter his heart. Took off the hat and revealed her outstanding appearance. This person was clearly Qin Sui, who wanted to marry Ji Zhizhong. Two maids walked in. Miss, Miao Qianzhai went back to Xianyuan sect directly. Yet Qin Sui responded. Three old men came to the clan who had the final say. Ji Zhizhong actually refused to marry him without hesitation. I don't know what method he used. The three old men actually agreed not to care about his marriage anymore, but he couldn't get in his Xuanhuan eyes. She was unwilling to accept the person she had admired since childhood. How could she allow him to become another woman? But she knew very well that there was no woman around Xuanhuan, but she heard from Uge that Xuanhuan met Ruanxiangluo twice when he went to Wanghai Forest, and Ruanxiangluo actually knew how to use acupuncture to suppress Xuanhuan's fetal poison. I heard that it could suppressed for 1 year. A year later, she would need another acupuncture. She felt that Ruanxiangluo broke off the engagement on purpose, and then used this method to attract Xuanhuan's attention. She really underestimated Ruanxiangluo, a useless person with 5 spiritual roots. Being able to enter the eyes of the master of the 1,000 poison peaks of the immortal cloud sect, she would never allow any accidents to happen. Xianluo, you must die. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 66. Chapter 66. 1 year later. Yanxiangluo didn't know that someone had come to plot her life, so she concentrated on refining the elixir, and then went on to do physical training in the afternoon. She never left 1,000 poison peaks for a single day. She was never idle from morning to night. Her master arranged for a handyman disciple to bring her the monthly quota. After 3 months, her physical strength finally got stronger, and a quarter of an hour was enough for her to walk back and forth. The muscles in her arms and legs were tight. She clearly felt that her body was as light as a swallow without using spiritual power, and she could easily hold the long caltrip gun in her hand. The master of 1,000 Poison Peak is not surprised by his young apprentice's achievements. In the past 3 months, he has seen with his own eyes how hard his young apprentice has been cultivating his physical fitness, and he has not yet delayed in refining elixirs and cultivating spiritual power. Tell her that she can start practicing Changling Spear. Yanxiangluo was very happy, she could finally practice Changling Spear. Deng Chang smiled when he saw his young apprentice impatiently. You need a place to practice marksmanship, otherwise, 1,000 poison peaks will cease to exist. Master has prepared a place for you. Ruanxiangluo's apricot eyes suddenly flashed, and the light flashed. She was worried about this matter. To practice the Changling Spear technique, you must start to cultivate your vitality. Different from spiritual power, your vitality needs to be released externally. Although the place outside the Qianda Peak Palace not small, but not enough for her to use. Unexpectedly, Master had thought so carefully and had already prepared a place for her to practice. Following the master around the palace and walking down, after passing through the field of poisonous herbs, Yanxiangluo saw a practice room hidden among the green trees. The practice room occupies a large area and looks simple from the outside. It is made of emerald green stone, but Yanxiangluo knows that this practice room is definitely not simple. After walking in, she saw that even the ground was paved with emerald green stones. There was nothing inside, so she could use her marksmanship at will. The material of this training room is solid greenstone, which is refined by the weapon refiner. It can withstand the attack of 7 levels of vitality, Deng Chang's explained. Thank you, Master. Yanxiangluo's eyes were bright. This time she could safely and boldly practice the Changling Spear to practice her vitality. Otherwise, she would still want to go to the cliff to practice her vitality and spear skills. This way, she doesn't have to change places until her vitality reaches level 7. She couldn't wait to take out the long spear. After 3 months, she could finally practice the long spear method. She did not use spiritual power, but simply relied on her own physical strength, and practiced the long rhombus spear in her consciousness at a slow speed. Deng Chang's did not disturb her and left the training room. He did not practice vitality and did not know how to shoot. He did everything he could to help his young apprentice, and she had to rely on herself for the rest. After one exercise, Xianxia was covered in sweat. The weight of the long rhombus gun itself cannot be ignored. She was not in a hurry to practice the 9 revolutions true essence art, but practiced the spear technique over and over again. She could also use the Changling spear technique with her spiritual power. Practicing her vitality was just a life-saving method she prepared for herself. For a month in a row, she stopped climbing the cliff. Climbing the cliff was no longer an exercise for her. She used her own physical strength to practice Changling spear in the practice room every day. Even refining elixirs and cultivating spiritual power are done in the practice room to save time. Changling spear skills are becoming more and more proficient, and the weight of the spear in her hand feels lighter and lighter. This is another way to exercise physical fitness. After all, the purpose of exercising physical fitness is to use the spear. She knew she could start cultivating her vitality. Sitting cross-legged, he took out the 9 turns true essence art, turned to the first page, and started reading. She looked at it very slowly. After all, it was the first time she came into contact with another kind of power. She couldn't rush for quick success. She had to understand it thoroughly before taking action. She would never allow any accidents to happen. 3 days passed before she began to practice the 9 turn true essence art. Her hands flew in front of her body, making complicated hand flowers, and then she became angry in her dantian. Whether it is spiritual power or vitality, both are stored in the dantian. She still doesn't know how the two forces can be harmonious and not conflict with each other in the dantian. Now she has to sense the vitality first. Only when she senses the vitality and introduces it into her body can she start practicing. Another 3 days have passed, and a small force appears in the body. This power is different from spiritual power. Although it is small, it has a powerful aura. This is the power of a warrior. This kind of power appeared in the meridians throughout her body. She guided the power to her dantian according to the 9 turns of true essence Ju. Only when the vitality is stored in the dantian can one truly cultivate the vitality. This is also the step she is most worried about. After all, there is her nascent soul in her dantian. What she didn't expect was that as soon as the vitality entered the dantian, the Yuanying moved. When she raised her little hand, the golden flower on the head of the Yuanying moved, and a white flower separated, floating on the other side of the Yuanying. The vitality is stored in it. Xianxia was extremely surprised. She didn't know what other people's spiritual power and vitality cultivation were like, but she was sure that she was different from others. Since Yuanying can adjust the two powers, she doesn't worry anymore, and starts to practice Yuan Qi boldly. The energy breath in the meridians is getting thicker, and more Yuan Qi is stored in the white flowers. After getting familiar with it, Xianxia truly achieved the ability to practice two powers at the same time. Golden flowers and white flowers are suspended one by one on the head of nascent soul, each absorbing spiritual power and vitality. The handyman disciples of Thousand Poison Peak originally wanted to ask her about poisonous weeds, but she didn't have time at all, so they had to study poisonous weeds by themselves. The harvest was great, and their realms had changed a lot. They are confident of becoming official outer disciples in the annual competition. In a blink of an eye, it has been a year since Xianxia came to Xuanhuan section in this year. Except for the previous sect experience, she has not been out of the mountain, and her achievements have been remarkable. Now she is a 3rd-level alchemist, and she has refined all the 3rd-level elixir recipes, not only the ones given to her by her master and Master Qin He, but also the ones she saw in Master Cheng'an's elixir book. Square. Although she is a 3rd-level alchemist, alchemists of the same level cannot compare with her. After all, not all alchemists can refine elixirs of the same level. As long as you can refine elixirs of this level, you are considered to be of this level. The alchemist. She has advanced from the 1st level of spiritual power to the 6th level of spiritual power, and she gradually sensed that the second level of Pangu's Kaishan cultivation technique should be breaking through to the king level. It is getting more and more difficult to cultivate spiritual power. But the cultivation of Xianxia gave her an unexpected surprise. She advanced very quickly. She didn't know why. It only took half a year since she officially started practicing Xianxia. Now she is already at the 4th level of Xianxia. Yanxiangluo never came down the mountain, which made Miao Nagano, who had been waiting for the opportunity, anxious. Seeing that there were only 2 months left of the 1-year agreement, could he not be anxious? However, the annual sect competition is here, and Yanxiangluo can't help but come out. End of this chapter. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 67. Chapter 67. Want to protect her. Miao Chenzi was very anxious. There were only 2 months left in the agreement with that woman. He had already asked his aunt to refine the 9-turn immortal spirit grass into a fairy elixir for him to take. His talent had indeed improved a lot. Now his cultivation level is already at the peak of the 9th level of the spiritual level, and it is impossible to return the 9-turn immortal spirit grass to others. However, Yanxiangluo has not been to 1000 poison peaks for months, and he has no chance to attack her. This sect competition is his only chance. The time of the sect competition is the month when they enter the sect for the examination, just a few days earlier. Ruanxiangluo was practicing the Changling spear technique in the training room without using her vitality or spiritual power. Over the past 6 months, she had become more and more fond of the Changling spear. It felt different from using the flying lotus, which was more like using the flying lotus. It is a hidden weapon, and the Changling spear is the real weapon of combat. With 2 weapons in hand, Yanxiangluo felt that she could handle any kind of battle. Luo Deng Chang's voice came. It's not that the master is here, it's just the voice. This is a skill that can only be used by powerful people, to transmit sounds through the air. Yanxiangluo put away her long spear, wiped the sweat from her forehead, left the practice room, and went directly to her master. Deng Chang's was waiting in the main hall. When he saw her coming, he motioned for her to sit down and have a cup of tea to relax. Master, is something okay? Yanxiangluo asked after drinking a cup of tea. If nothing happens, Master will never disturb her practice. The sect's annual competition will begin in 3 days, Deng Chang said. Yanxiangluo was stunned. She had not gone down the mountain for 10 months. She was so obsessed with practicing and improving her strength that she really forgot about the sect competition. How many days will the competition last? Are there any rules? Yanxiangluo asked. The competition lasts for 3 days, the first 2 days are the knockout rounds, and the last day is the competition that determines the final ranking. What does Master want to say to me? Yanxiangluo saw that Master didn't look like he was simply telling her about dabbing. Master has discussed with your ancestor and doesn't want you to participate in the sect competition. What do you think? Deng Chang said truthfully. What's the reason? Although she doesn't care about her ranking in the competition, there is no reason why Master and Grandmaster wouldn't decide this way. After all, the competition can also be used to exercise and accumulate some combat experience. This year, you have been promoted too fast and your vitality has been cultivated too fast. If such talent is spread, other sects will definitely not want you to grow up, Deng Chang's explained. Although they were mentally prepared that she would advance quickly, they did not expect that she would advance so quickly as she was practicing spiritual power and vitality at the same time. Even they were shocked, let alone others. Therefore, Yanxiangluo's cultivation level has never been exposed. Okay, then I won't participate. I also think it's a waste of time. Yanxiangluo understood that her master and master wanted to protect her. Deng Chang saw that she agreed so happily, and he knew that this girl knew the intentions of their master and apprentice. He smiled and said, not only this year, you don't need to participate in the sect competition next year. You can focus on improving your cultivation and strength, and wait for the secret realm of Lingquan to open in 2 years. When the time comes, Master will definitely let you go and try it. With this girl's cultivation speed, she still has 2 years to go before she can break through to the king level. Her vitality can probably be cultivated to such an extent that even talented warriors will envy her. Not to mention the pill level, which is 1 level a year. She can also become a 5th grade alchemist, and can be compared with Miao Yu, the master of the first peak of Tianshui Peak. If he gives her some life-saving treasures, even if she enters the secret realm of Lingquan, not many people can do anything to her. Besides, with this girl's cleverness and shrewdness, those who want to plot against her don't know who is plotting against whom. Yan Xiangloo nodded, "Listen to Master." Since he was not going to participate in the sect competition, his eyes lit up and he said, "Master, can I go to the forest near the sect to practice for a few days? She hasn't really practiced her long spear yet, so she can't practice it behind closed doors like this. In the past 10 months, she had only gone down to the cliff to hunt some spiritual beasts and come back to eat them, without any real fighting." "Okay, don't go too deep. Although you are quite capable, you are still too weak if you encounter high-level monsters." Deng Chang's agreed without hesitation. He knows better than anyone else the importance of actual combat. Besides, the forest near the sect is not far away. The power card he gave to the girl during the sect's training last time is still wearing her, as long as she still wears it. When this power card is used, he can sense it immediately and rush to where she is to save her, so he is not worried about the girl's safety. Yan Xiangloo suddenly became excited, "Then I'll go right away. It's not noon yet, and everything she needs is in the storage ring and Pangu space, so there's no need to prepare anything." Go. Deng Chang's laughed. This girl was holding back her nerves and couldn't wait to practice. Yan Xiangloo returned to her room. Instead of wearing any sect clothes, she changed into a bright red light outfit and went straight down the cliff. The speed is so fast. Deng Chang stood on the cliff and watched her figure disappear from sight. This girl was practicing too hard. It would be fine to let her go out and practice for a few days, which was equivalent to a rest. Yan Xiangloo ran directly into the forest, like a bird out of its cage. The difference is that she is physically strong. She is very fast without using spiritual power, and she doesn't feel tired. The Xuanhuan sect became lively because of the sect competition. Miao Chengjai had been paying attention to Yan Xiangloo, but he did not see her until the first day of the preliminary competition for the inner disciples. He frowned. Even the direct disciples of each peak were not qualified to pass the preliminary round. Failure to participate in the preliminary round meant that Yan Xiangloo would not participate in this year's sect competition. This was something he didn't expect. This is how to do. He didn't know why Yan Xiangloo didn't participate in the sect competition. After all, this ranking was also very important to the inner disciples. What he was worried about now was how to complete the deal with the woman. Looking at Bai Tangyunyu, who came down from the stage, his eyes rolled and he had an idea. Bai Tangyunyu often goes to 1,000 poison peaks. You can use him to go to 1,000 poison peaks and see Yu Xiangloo. As long as you meet the person, there is a way to close the deal. However, I can't go alone, otherwise everyone will think of me if something happens to Yan Xiangloo. It seems that I have to find a way to encourage more people to go. Once he had an idea, Miao Nagano could prepare for the sect competition with peace of mind. This competition was very important to him and he could not make any mistakes. He must get the first place among the new disciples. Yan Xiangloo didn't know that someone had been worried about her for 10 months and was killing everyone in the forest. The monsters she challenged were of higher levels. Although she was in a panic at this time, she took a look. The monster wearing a long rhombus spear was in a great mood. End of this chapter. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 68. Chapter 68 Breaking the Xuanhuan Pattern. The long rhombus gun is more suitable for her in actual combat, and its sharpness is beyond her expectation. Over the past few days, a mountain-like pile of corpses of monsters and beasts had piled up in Pangu space, as well as a lot of medicinal herbs. Didn't she plant all the medicinal materials she collected in the Pangu space during the last sect training? As she expected, although the medicinal materials could not grow because there was no sunlight, they were still alive because of the strong spiritual energy, just as they were when they were collected. In this way, the herbs used in her alchemy are all fresh. No, she is used to it now. When she sees medicinal herbs, she will directly move them to Pangu space and plant them. 6 days passed in a flash, and I saw that my vitality had improved by another level. Although my spiritual energy had accumulated a lot, there was no sign of advancement. She sighed. It seemed that the second hurdle was much more difficult than the first. But before the secret realm of Lingquan opens, she must find a way to break through the spiritual level, so that she can be safe when entering the secret realm. Although she is in Pangu space, it takes experience to enter the secret realm, and she cannot hide in the space without leaving. The sect competition was over, and it was time for her to go back. It was already very late when she returned to Thousand Poison Peaks. She stopped practicing and rested for the night. The next day she had breakfast and went to the practice room. Since the practice room was established, all her practice has been moved here, and she is currently refining elixirs. Baitangyunyu followed 5 or 6 people to Thousand Poison Peak. He was a little embarrassed when he saw Yanxiangluo. Originally, he didn't want to bring anyone to Qiandu Peak, but he didn't know what happened today. When these brothers heard that he was coming to Qiandu Peak, they all came with him. They said that the elixir they were refining needed some poisonous weeds, and they wanted to go to Thousand Poison Peaks to buy them. He had no choice but to come with them. He couldn't refuse people who wanted to buy poisonous weeds, and Thousand Poison Peaks didn't belong to him. But when he saw Yanxiangluo, he immediately told her what had happened. Yanxiangluo glanced at a few people, and they immediately greeted her, "I've met Mr. Yu." Among them was Miao Changji, and Yanxiangluo's beautiful eyebrows furrowed. She had a bad impression of Miao Changji, the reborn son of luck. But it was a bit surprising to see that his cultivation was already at the peak of the 9th level of the spiritual level. Baitangyunyu's opportunity was taken away by her. How did he allow himself to advance to the 3rd level in succession within a few months? Yanxiangluo is not worried that they can see her cultivation level, because the master gave her a pair of inconspicuous earrings, which can hide her cultivation level. Only people with cultivation level above the honorable level can see her true cultivation level. This is also the reason why her cultivation level has not been spread among the handyman disciples in Qiandu Peak. Hence, in the eyes of the person opposite, her cultivation level is the 3rd level of spiritual level. "What poisonous weeds do you need?" Yanxiangluo asked. Whether the master is here or not, she can decide the poisonous weeds at Qiandu Peak. After returning from the sex training, there are more than 10 types of poisonous weeds at Qiandu Peak. She picked them all back in Wanghai Forest. She kept some for herself and gave them to her master. Some poisonous weeds were planted in the field. "We are going to refine the 3rd-grade detoxification pill, but we don't have any of the poisonous weeds in it, so we would like to buy a few." Miao Nagano took the initiative and walked to the front of the group. "The detoxification pill recipe does require aphrodisiac." Yanxiangluo nodded and asked, "How many plants do you need in total?" "2 plants per person," Miao Nagano said. Yanxiangluo took a look and saw that 6 people from Baitangyunyu and others came. They called a handyman disciple and asked him to pick 12 aphrodisiacs and sell them to them at the price they bought outside. Taking care of the poisonous weeds is very hard, and each one is not tolerated when it grows up. She will not give away favors randomly. Besides, except for Baitangyunyu and Jinzin Rong, she has no friendship with anyone else. Miao Qiangjai was very nervous in his heart, but he tried his best to control it on his face. He held the jade button that the woman gave him in his right hand, waiting for the opportunity to use it on Yan Xiangluo. 10 months have passed since we last met, and the 14-year-old Yan Xiangluo has grown much taller, her appearance is less immature, and she is even more charming. He really couldn't bear to destroy her. After all, she was the first woman he saw and wanted to get. But compared with his own future, beauty was not important. When he became a powerful man in the mainland, he would not have as many beauties as he wanted. Therefore, when the handyman disciple brought the Fanyang grass, he deliberately took a step forward to get closer to Yan Xiangluo. At the same time, he crushed the jade button in his hand, and then naturally raised his hand to pick up the Fanyang grass. Xuanhuan ran towards Yan Xiangluo's body. The mysterious pattern was invisible to the naked eye, but Yan Xiangluo had a strong mental power and sensed a bad aura. Before she could find out where it came from, Dan Furnace Stone Nest, which she had never spoken to before, suddenly appeared in her mind. Appearing in her consciousness, all the bad breath she sensed was sucked into the alchemy furnace. At the same time, he muttered, "This master is not only weak but also a bit stupid. He doesn't even know he was harmed by someone using the mysterious pattern." Yan Xiangluo's apricot eyes immediately looked at Miao Qiangjai, who used the mysterious pattern on himself. Miao Nagano felt uncomfortable looking at her pool-like eyes, as if she had insight into his thoughts and actions. Yan Xiangluo used her spiritual consciousness to communicate with Shiwo. "Shiwo, what mysterious pattern did Miao Qiangjai use on me?" Broken Dan Xian pattern is the Xian pattern that unknowingly destroys a person's Danshan, eventually turning him into a waste that cannot be cultivated. Shiwo responded to her this time. Yan Xiangluo's eyes narrowed. Her cultivation level and talent had not been revealed. Why did Miao Qiangjai use the Dangxuan pattern to harm her? Has your talent still been leaked? She remained calm as if she didn't notice, but used her consciousness to listen to the voices of the people present. It's okay for other people, but Nagano really has a problem. She won't find out that I used the Xuanhuan on her. What are you worried about? Didn't that woman say that the Xuanhuan won't happen immediately? She can't doubt her. Calm down. You must be calm. The Xuanhuan has been used on with you and Xiangluo, the deal with that woman is over, and I don't have to worry about not being able to return the 9-turn immortal spirit grass to her after using it. Yan Xiangluo clearly heard what Nagano was thinking, woman. He had offended that woman, and actually used Nagano to attack him? She could never think of such a person. Could it be that someone from the Tianshan Empire's family wanted to harm him? No, old General Yu swore that Yu's family would not dare to plot against him even if they wanted to. Who is that? Since she didn't know who the enemy was, the best way was not to alert the enemy. Therefore, she pretended that she hadn't noticed and let the other party think she had succeeded. Anyway, Shiwo had already put the Xuanhuan power into the alchemy furnace. After collecting the spirit stones for buying Yanko, Yan Xiangluo sent off the guests directly, including Baitang Yunyu. She was not angry at Baitang Yunyu, but wanted to communicate with Shiwo about how to deal with the Xuanhuan. Just keep it in the alchemy furnace. She still needs to use the alchemy furnace to make elixirs. And what happened this time also made her want to know more about Xuanhuan. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 69. Chapter 69, Not a Small Skill. Baitang Yunyu thought that Yan Xiangluo was dissatisfied with him for bringing so many people to Qiandu Peak. I thought to myself, I am the same, let them do it by themselves, why would I be embarrassed when they say they want to buy sunflower seeds? It's fine now. Master Jun was angry and didn't get any food. The most important thing is that he also wants to ask Master Jun why he didn't participate in the sect competition. It seems that it can only be done next time. Although Miao Changai's goal was achieved, he felt guilty, so Yan Xiangluo euphemistically evicted the guest and made him leave happily. The others were encouraged by Miao Changjai to come to Kianda Peak to buy the sunflower grass. They were mainly out of curiosity and wanted to come to Kianda Peak to see it. They also bought the sunflower grass and Kianda Peak also saw it. Now Master Uncle Yu is using it as an excuse to practice. After seeing off the guests, I left with envy. Although they did not enter the palace of Kianda Peak, they were not curious. The palaces on each peak are all built together, there is no big difference. The only difference is that they, the direct disciples, are not qualified to live in it. There are only 2 masters and disciples in Kianda Peak, so Yuan Xiangluo can naturally live in the palace, unlike them who have to live in a residence specially built for disciples. What they were envious of was Yan Xiangluo's practice room. Yan Xiangluo didn't know the value of her practice room, but they all came from a big family. From the building materials to the building area, they couldn't build it with ordinary financial resources. The master of Kianda Peak did not use the sect's financial resources. He spent his own money to build a training room for Yan Xiangluo. He is also a direct disciple, who can get such treatment. Suddenly, some of them were envious of Yang Xiang. Kianda Peak, which they had once despised, had also become fragrant. Some people regretted why they did not become a disciple of Deng Changfeng. Originally, they didn't pay much attention to the Kianda Peak handyman disciple saying how good the Kianda Peak master was to his disciple, Yan Xiangluo. However, after seeing the training room today, they realized that the handyman disciples were not exaggerating at all. Yan Xiangluo didn't know what they were thinking, so she entered the practice room to communicate with Shiwo. Shiwo, can you control Xuanhuan? Shiwo said arrogantly, it's not that I can control the mysterious pattern, it's that I can control all the auras that are unfavorable to the master entering the body. Yan Xiangluo was shocked in her heart, and at the same time she was glad that Shiwo was there, otherwise the woman's plan would have succeeded today, and she would have been destroyed in the hands of an unknown enemy. What are you going to do with this mysterious pattern? Yan Xiangluo asked. I can destroy it directly, or I can keep it for the master to use when needed, Shiwo said in a natural tone. It seemed like this was a normal thing, and I didn't feel that its ability was so extraordinary at all. Yan Xiangluo was extremely shocked. Can this mysterious pattern still be used? Of course I can. I didn't destroy any of the aura of the mysterious pattern. The mysterious pattern is still intact, Shiwo said proudly. Yan Xiangluo looked at the mysterious patterns in the stone nest with her spiritual consciousness. Before, she could only feel the bad aura, but now she could clearly see the illusory runes suspended in the stone nest. They were so illusory, as if they were gently, it's like it falls apart at the touch of a touch. Now she realizes that Shiwo is not just a simple alchemy furnace. Not only does it have spiritual consciousness, it is also a very powerful spiritual consciousness, and its abilities are not small. If I leave the mysterious pattern with you, how can I make elixirs in the future, since she can keep it for use? Yan Xiangluo naturally doesn't want to destroy the mysterious pattern, but if it wants to delay her refining alchemy, she would rather not have the mysterious pattern that breaks the elixir. After all, she has such a vicious mysterious pattern. It may not be used. If anyone offends her, she prefers to take revenge directly. At the moment, I don't know who that woman is, so I can only endure it for now. Even if you know who the other party is, you can't use the mysterious patterns to retaliate against someone who knows the mysterious patterns. Master, find something, and I will put the mysterious pattern on it. When the master uses it, he only needs to crush the carrier, and then wrap the mysterious pattern with spiritual power and put it on the opponent, Shiwo said in a relaxed tone. Yan Xiangluo's black grape-like eyes suddenly lit up. Shiwo was so powerful. She immediately went out to get a piece of wood and came back and asked, "Will this work?" If Shiwo had a face, Yanxiangluo would definitely be able to see its twitching cheeks. If it were so fussy, the Xuanhuan master would imprint the Xuanhuan on the jade. Does it know that Yanxiangluo feels that everything is going to be destroyed anyway, so using a precious carrier isn't a waste? 1,000 poison peaks are surrounded by trees, and the most indispensable thing is wood. What a great material that doesn't cost money. Although Shiwo felt that his master was a bit stingy, he still responded, "Okay." When Yanxiangluo responded, she saw the mysterious symbols sliding out of the alchemy furnace in a row, and then being imprinted on the wooden block in her hand, disappearing into it, and no symbols could be seen. Although it seems simple, Yanxiangluo knows that Xuanhuan branding is not that simple, otherwise Xuanhuan masters would not be so rare. Yanxiangluo looked at the wooden block in her hand over and over again, but she didn't see anything. However, she could feel the presence of power on it. "Shiwo, what is the principle of this mysterious pattern?" Yanxiangluo asked. Suddenly, Yanxiangluo felt that Xuanhuan was a very useful tool. If there were any offensive or defensive Xuanhuan, when in danger, the spiritual power and vitality would be exhausted. Wouldn't it also be life-saving? I don't know about this. If Master wants to learn it, he can learn it from Xuanhuan-like exercises. Shiwo's voice suddenly became much quieter. After all, it really doesn't know how to do it. "Thank you, Shiwo." Yanxiangluo's thank you was sincere. If it weren't for Shiwo, she would have been ruined today, and her rebirth would have ended with a cowardly death. Shiwo's tone became much softer. "Who asked me to choose such a weak master? Alas, I have no choice but to protect you." Yanxiangluo smiled. Shiwo ignored her during this period of time because she disliked him for being too weak. Also, if he had such a weak master, he would not be in a good mood. "Then why did you choose me? There were many people who were better than me that day," Yanxiangluo asked curiously. "Master, don't belittle yourself. In the future, the master will be more powerful than them." Shiwo was immediately unhappy. Although the master he chose was weak now, his talent was the best and he would be very powerful in the future. "Oh, Shiwo has confidence in me." Yanxiangluo suddenly felt that it was good to be reborn in a fantasy world. Every object that was originally unconscious could become her trusted partner. Even if she had no friends, she would not feel lonely. "It's not faith, it's facts," Shiwo said proudly. "Well, it's true. I have to work harder and strive to become a strong person in Shiwo's eyes as soon as possible," Yanxiangluo said half jokingly and half seriously. In the past 10 months, Shiwo had seen with his own eyes how hard she worked, but he did not refute her words. Yanxiangluo put away the wooden block stamped with the Patan Xian pattern and thought about how to get a Xuanhuan technique. End of this chapter. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 70. Chapter 70. Seeking medical attention again. She doesn't want the low-level ones. Since she wants to learn, she must learn the best, otherwise it will be a waste of time. Not to mention high-level Xuanhuan techniques, even low-level ones are not available outside. Their Xianxia sect does not have such techniques. There are no sects or academies in the mainland that specialize in practicing Xuanhuan techniques. They are all passed down from generation to generation in the Xuanhuan family. It is not easy to obtain a high-level Xuanhuan technique. However, she only has this plan in her heart now, and she is not in a hurry. After coming here, she understood that opportunity is very important, and now she doesn't have extra time to study the mysterious patterns, so she should wait for the opportunity. Yanxiangluo originally thought that this opportunity would come in a long time, but unexpectedly, the opportunity came a month later. Just after Miao Changjai used the broken Dan Xian pattern, Qin Suiyu, who was far away in Tianshan Imperial City, sensed it. The corners of her lips curled up, and a fierce light flashed in her eyes. When the fragrance falls, I will watch you become a real loser. Life is worse than death. Let's see what else you can use to seduce Jizhong. Yan Xianluo never expected that she would break off her engagement to Jizhong and be suspected of seducing Jizhong, thus causing such a big disaster. A month later, the one-year period for Yan Xianluo to give Jizhong acupuncture to suppress the fetal poison was up. On this day, Yan Xianluo was practicing in the training room as usual. The disciple guarding the mountain gate rode a flying spirit beast to Qiandu Peak to report. Jizhong, the regent of Tianshan Kingdom, came to ask to see Yan Xianluo. Only then did Yan Xianluo suddenly remember giving Jizhong acupuncture to suppress the fetal poison. She had completely forgotten about it. Outsiders must have the consent of the peak masters to come in, so Yan Xianluo went to the master to explain the situation. The master of Qiandu Peak was surprised that his young apprentice could actually do acupuncture. Isn't Jizhong, the regent of Tianshan Kingdom, the ex-fiancé of my young apprentice? How can the two of them still get along so harmoniously? Although he is confused, since the young apprentice has promised to do something, he will not stop it. Besides, medical skills require such difficult and complicated diseases to practice, and it is not easy to encounter such a patient. Took out his token and gave it to Yan Xianluo, and asked Yan Xianluo to bring the person up the mountain. Yan Xianluo took the master's token and sat on the white eagle, and went directly to the mountain gate, which surprised all the inner and outer disciples. It had been a long time since they had seen Master Jun's white eagle. When he looked again, he saw the one sitting on it. Isn't that just you, Xianluo? Master Jun didn't even participate in the sect competition. What is he going to do? Yan Xianluo came to the mountain gate and saw Jizhong, wearing a snow-white brocade robe embroidered with silver dark patterns, standing in front of the mountain gate with her hands behind her hands. Sensing her aura, Jizhong turned around and saw that peerless face. The fragrance fell into my eyes. She once again lamented Jizhong's rich and jade-like temperament, as elegant as a fairy and as cold as a fairy. His beautiful phoenix eyes with clear eyes seemed to be able to penetrate the void. The world-famous nobility exuded from his bones made people feel proud in front of him. Feeling like an ant. Follow me, Yan Xianluo just sighed in her heart, without showing any emotion on her face. She showed the disciple guarding the mountain gate the token of the master of Qiandu Peak in her hand, and the disciple guarding the mountain gate let them in. Actually, there are elders guarding him secretly, but who dares to break through the gate of Xuanhuan sect openly? Jizhong only brought music Xian and Changfeng this time. Jin Yutang was the leader of the secret guards. Unless there were special circumstances, he usually took Renyan to protect Jizhong in the dark. The three of them followed the white eagle of Xianluo in the air. When the disciples saw that Yan Xianluo had returned so quickly and brought someone with her, they realized that she was going to pick up guests. After all, those who can fly in the air are above the king level. They all thought that Jizhong was the guest of the master of Qiandu Peak, which was strange because the master of Qiandu Peak never received guests in Xuanhuan sect or friend. After asking about it, I found out that these three people were here to see Yan Xianluo. And some people who were well informed knew that Jizhong was the fiancé who broke off the engagement. They started to gossip. Why did Jizhong come to see Yan Xianluo? After Yan Xianluo brought the person to Thousand Poison Peak, she took her directly to the practice room. She wanted to give Jizhong acupuncture. Her room was not suitable for foreign men to enter, especially since Jizhong was once her fiancé. There are 10 handyman disciples here. If there is something going on, the entire Xuanhuan sect will know about it. This is why the master hides her true cultivation level. Therefore, only the practice room is the most suitable to entertain them. Jizhong has been silent. This is his first time to come to Xuanhuan section. Although he was born with fetal poison and has sought treatment from many famous doctors, Xuanhuan sect does not have an alchemist with excellent medical skills, but he bought Xuanhuan section Zong's detoxifying pill didn't work, so he gave up. He never thought that one day he would come to Xuanhuan sect in person, maybe not just once. Yan Xianglego brought some tea, and with a wave of her hand, a low table and several futons appeared on the floor of the practice room. Please sit down. Yan Xianglego asked several people to sit down. Xian and Chang Feng glanced at Zhizhong and saw him nodding before sitting down on the futon. Yan Xianglego took out the pulse pillow and put it on the table, checked the pulse. Zhizhong put her hand on the pulse pillow, and Yan Xianglego pressed on his pulse. She frowned in an instant. Have you ever exhausted your spiritual energy? He asked why he felt something was wrong with Zhizhong's aura as soon as they met. Xian and Chang Feng looked at each other and saw shock in each other's eyes. She could tell by checking his pulse that his master's spiritual power had been exhausted. It's really amazing. Especially Xian, who is also an alchemist and has good medical skills, his mood can be described as shocked. Zhizhong said calmly, well, someone wants my life, I have no choice but to do so. Yan Xianglego nodded, the other hand. Zhizhong calmly changed his other hand, but his phoenix eyes fell on the girl opposite. After not seeing each other for a year, she has grown a lot taller. It only reached her chest before, but now she is almost on his shoulders. The girl's immaturity has also become less immature, and her appearance has become even more outstanding, although her cultivation does not seem to count. She was tall, but she had the aura of a warrior, which surprised him. She is a master of both spiritual and martial arts. There are too few people that Zhizhong can admire, and Yuan Xianglego is one of them. The little girl lived alone at the age of 10, but she was still able to arrange her life properly. She was able to grow up so well despite rumors and rumors. Her character was not ordinary. This time it will take some trouble, and it may take a little longer. We can't go down the mountain today, Yuan Xianglego said, letting go of his hands. Zhizhong nodded and said, that's no trouble. Yu Xianglego stood up and said, wait a moment, I'm going to prepare some herbs. As soon as he finished speaking, he stood up and left the practice room. Xian looked around the training room and whispered, Master, is this girl practicing both spiritual and martial arts? Don't ask what you shouldn't ask, we are here to seek medical treatment. Zhizhong glanced at Xian and said. End of this chapter.